Right.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Urban Leadership Coach podcast. It is the end of January. Can you all believe that we're stepping into February already? And it just seems like we just stepped into the new year. But if you're joining us this morning, we're going to ask you to please share this live, share it with your colleagues, share it with your friends, and join us in this great conversation on this morning about, advancing discipleship, strengthening your volunteers, just talking about how we can win, how we get the win-win. So this is going to be an exciting conversation. Our guest today is Jason Bowman. He is a part of Art Speak Creative, and we're going to let him tell you his role and his position in a few minutes. But we just want to thank him for accepting the invitation to be here with us on today. And again, share. Jason, if you and Pastor Clay could take a moment and share this on Facebook. We're on Facebook Live as well as iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Google Play. We're on practically all of the podcasts available. So find us. You can listen to us live if you're a part of one of those networks. And so share. And so we just thank God for the opportunity. This is our second broadcast of the new year. And it's just so exciting that we're just looking for God to do great things in this program, in this podcast. And I'm excited about Jason Bowman because he is also a part of a wonderful community that I'm a part of, which is Next Wave. And so Jason Bowman he lives outside of St. Louis, correct, Jason?
I do, yes.
Yeah, and with his wife and his children. And this is a part of his bio. He is passionate about helping people live life to the fullest. His 20 years of ministry experience include national young adult ministry, church planting, as well as staff roles at large growing churches. And so he is now a founding partner of Art Speak Creative, which he's going to share that with us on this morning. And he has helped the agency grow from 2 to over 15 team members, helping hundreds of organizations across the country and around the world cultivate the stories of life change. And so as a certified speaker, consultant, and coach on the John Maxwell team, Jason has personally worked for profit executives and some of the largest ministries in the country. So his personal story of radical life change sets a foundation to come alongside any person and any organization and help them grow. So Jason, wow, what a wonderful bio. And I want you to share all of your testimonies, your expertise, what you're doing now after being in ministry for 20 years, and now how you're helping other ministries thrive. So I'm excited about having this conversation this morning.
Oh, Danette, Clay, it's such an honor to be a part of your podcast today. And I was so thrilled when I got your message asking for the invite. So thank you for the invite. It's an honor to speak into your audience and partner up. Long story short, I was raised kind of pagan by hippie bikers, and I don't know how that happens, but it's the truth. And lost all my basketball scholarships to drug addiction, and then in 1997, at about 3 a.m, it was a cold February morning, I heard the name of Jesus over the stereo, and I asked this one question: who is Jesus? And I still have that question, not going to lie, but as he's revealed himself, and I just, man, he's good. He's legit. He's alive. Changed my life. Not immediately, but one step at a time. And just so grateful for who he is, and that he's still at work on the planet. I've had, like you mentioned, some of the opportunities I've had to, whether it was in a classroom teaching or leading churches, a lot of young adult leadership, church planting. That's been, I spent about a decade doing that here in St. Louis. We've been here 12, 13 years now, and still just part of the neighborhood and part of the school district, and building relationships with people. But about 8 years ago, to keep our ministry addiction funded, I was working for a creative agency, helping the Better Business Bureau and some engineering firms and Microsoft partners. And then they ended up hiring my associate pastor and my best friend to build some of the websites. And so at the same time, we had planted a church together. And we had some success initially. We had about 370 plus people on our first day. And in our first couple of years, we drew 4,000 or 5,000 people to some of the outreaches. And so then my friends from across the country were calling and asking, how do you do that? And I was like, well, how do you get them to stay? So,
right.
But we're, I love doing that consulting work. And that's when the two of us, Kirk, my business partner, and I decided, what if we could help the church reach more people? That's who we were, church planters, ministries. We've helped some great for-profits. So that was about 8 years ago. We stepped out, and now we have a team. I need to update my bio. We have a team of 32 creatives that we put together, and we've had the privilege of helping 300 plus churches, ministries, some of the smallest, some of the newest, some of the oldest and largest on the planet, and help them reach more people. So yeah, that's kind of the last 7 years in a nutshell, but I love to talk about our process. I'd love to get into whatever it is you want to talk about.
Wow. So when in a brief conversation you and I had, you mentioned about, the win-win. Can you explain that to our audience on today as a part of what it is that the focus and the vision and the expertise of Art Speaks Creative, what you do for ministries, so that there's a win-win. Tell us about the two wins. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it'll make sense to everyone. It's really what we call a communication triangle. A lot of people talk about the communication being a two-way street. And often in that two-way street, if it was only a two-way street, there's some hurdles, right? There's some roadblocks, and there's some disconnects between us and them often. But for us, it's not a two-way street. It's a triangle. And so here I drew a little picture. I'm not the artist on our team, so you have to forgive me. But it's a triangle, and at the top is a Venn diagram. But at the bottom, in one corner is us, and the bottom of the other corner is them. Mm-hmm. And here would be the two-way street along the bottom. There's some hurdles, there's some roadblocks there, and those hurdles would be our reputation. What do they think about us? Here's the challenge. What do they think about us when we're not around? Right? And so but the truth is, we're not just talking to people back and forth. In almost every dialogue, and this is true in a relationship, this is true with your children, your neighbors, now, especially if you want to invite people to church, we're asking people to go and do something. We're calling them towards an action. It's not just a conversation. Mm-hmm. We're trying to influence them up to something. And then there's some hurdles for them, like their perception of that. And there's some hurdles for us to that thing at the top that we call good. Let's call it good. We want them to go somewhere good. I think church is good. Here's the challenge, though. The word church to the three of us probably has a similar definition. It probably has a good connotation. We know what it could be. But for most of my neighbors, the church doesn't sound, the word church does not sound like good news.
Wow.
And so part of our long-term hope is that somehow we could influence enough that church would sound like good news again.
Right.
And to be honest, when you hear the word church, when a lot of my friends aren't in church, when they hear the word Christian or church, they don't think, man, those people got good news. Those people care about me. So, and here's why, and this is what we'll get to it, is at the top of this triangle, we have a Venn diagram. And the one circle on our side, that's the things that we care about. That's the things that we love. These are our hopes and our dreams. The other circle on their side is their hopes and dreams. These are the things that they care about and want in life. And our recommendation is where those circles overlap. That's where your message lives.
Okay.
Because if I come to them and start talking about things that I care about that they don't care about, then it's nonsense.
Right. Right.
And there are some things that Christians and thought leaders and influencers and pastors should care about. We should be passionate about. It's just that those who have not connected to Jesus yet, they don't care about it. I wonder how they ever would. They couldn't.
Right.
And so the overlap there then is the win-win. Right? It's the win-win. If we talk about this, I win and you win. I realized my wife and I travel sometimes, and at least we used to when people did that. And we teach on marriage and healthy communication between a husband and wife. And I realized that what we were teaching was very similar. So yeah, today we can talk about marketing. We can talk about branding. We take our clients through a process that identifies all of these points and builds out hopes and dreams and fears and value propositions and the win-wins. But this also applies even to our marriages and our relationships.
Right.
Because this is a healthy communication triangle. If you boil this down to one word, at the bottom here, what this is empathy.
Wow. Empathy.
Are we willing to do the difficult work to think and feel like them, like they might feel, so that we can lead them somewhere good?
So is that that's what you mean when you say, how do we help those in the community, achieve or step into their own hopes and dreams, opposed to when we disciple, everything is just about the church. And a lot of people don't like the word church because they're not connected to it. So when you approach them with church first instead of what really concerns them, is that what you're explaining to us right now through this?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I think, if everything that we're doing about discipleship has everything to do with the church,
right, then
you're not doing discipleship.
Wow. So I want you to say that again. So everything that we're doing, if it's all connected with the church, then we're not doing discipleship.
I would question. Yeah, I mean, there may be ways to break that phrase down. If all you're talking about is yourself, think about it
So the self is not the individual person. You talking about the self being church.
Sure, but let's break it down to an individual person.
Okay.
If you've ever gone to a party and somebody loves talking all about themselves, is that a fun conversation to be in?
No, it's not.
Do you want to buy what that person's selling? Do you want to go, right? Do you want to go where that person's going? Do you want to hang out with a person who only ever talks about themselves? Right. No one does. Here's a conversation, even just breaking it down, because for me, relational principles apply, whether it's one-on-one or it's my organization to the community.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to get you to think about is be relational.
Right.
So there have been moments, I'll just confession time, right? Where it was me on one side of the triangle and it was